assuming that I was sane and awake. My experience on that night was such as has befallen no man before. It was, moreover, a frightful confirmation of all I had sought to dismiss as myth and dream. H.P. Lovecraft, The Shadow Out of Time. Friday, September 18th, 1925, Arkham, Massachusetts. It is the end of a long and abnormally hot summer. The first hints of autumn beckon, but a heavy heat persists, relentless. A silent, unspoken anger grips the town. Tempers are short, and in the last week alone, there have been numerous reports of townspeople coming to heated, violent blows with one another over simple misunderstandings. And now, a call from James Hankerson. He claims to have found a dismembered body in his barn. Blaming the weather would be too easy. There is something wrong with this town, and not a whole lot this old soothsayer can do to stop the slide. My auguries indicate a small group of investigators will soon take note of these strange happenings and set forth to make things right. I'll be watching their progress, but I won't be holding my breath. Night of the Zealot, Part 1, The Gathering. You and your partners have been investigating strange events taking place in your home city of Arkham, Massachusetts. Over the past few weeks, several townspeople have mysteriously gone missing. Recently, their corpses turned up in the woods, savaged and half-eaten. The police and newspapers have stated that wild animals are responsible, but you believe there is something else going on. You are gathered together at the lead investigator's home to discuss these bizarre events. Agenda 1A. What's going on? It is late at night. You are holed up in your study, researching the bloody disappearances that have been taking place in the region. A few hours into your research, you hear the sound of strange chanting coming from your parlor down the hall. At the same time, you hear dirt churning, as if something were digging beneath the floor. Doom Level 3. Act 1A. Trapped. As you leap to investigate, the door to your study vanishes before your eyes, leaving behind only solid wall. You're trapped inside your study until you can find another way out. 2 clues needed per investigator. Study. You've been investigating the strange events occurring in Arkham for several days now. Your desk is covered in newspaper articles, police reports, and witness accounts. The door to your study has vanished. 2 clues necessary in order to move forward. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Arkham Horror, the card game. This is Friday Night Horror. I am your soothsayer, Robert from RJL 518. Tonight it is part 1, The Gathering, of the core box campaign for Arkham Horror the card game, Night of the Zealot. The game will be played on easy level, utilizing a die roll, and the first investigator up will be Roland Banks, the Fed. Roland has always taken comfort in procedure and rules. As an agent in the Bureau, he was relieved to have guidelines to follow in any given situation. But lately, his federal agent's handbook had been entirely unhelpful given the cases he'd been assigned. Try as he might, Roland could find no mention of what to do when confronted with strange creatures, gates through time and space, or magic spells. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would never have believed it, and there's no way his superiors would understand. Roland knew he would have to handle this one himself. Welcome, Steeler fan. So we're going to play a little Arkham Horror tonight. This is part 1, the gathering of the night of the Zealot campaign in the core set. I have pretty much everything Arkham Horror, the card game. I haven't been playing it in a long time. I'm really looking forward to doing this now on Friday nights. It's a good time to do it. The rules are very simple. This is actually a very introductory story. And right now we're holed up in the study. And we get to draw 5 cards. I've really already pretty much shuffled everything, but I will give everything a quick shuffle so you see me shuffling the cards here. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of space on the desk, but I'll do the best I can to make sure everyone can see what's going on. Let's see what we got here. Knife, we'll keep. Psychosis I can get rid of because that's a weakness. Manual dexterity we'll keep. Guts is good to have. And magnifying glass may be pretty good. You get +1 willpower. So we throw that back in there and we reshuffle. And we get a mulligan. And let's see, the 5th card will be, the 45 automatic. Good. This is just a playthrough. I really don't intend to, I tried to go over the rules in the introduction video. So this is just a playthrough. And I'll keep my cards to the side over here. Unfortunately, I don't have a big enough desk as, as ID Jester has for his games. So let's see here. I will, of course, keep round sequences, something like that, so you can see what we got to do here. So we'll see. If I have to move stuff, I can. Actually, I could probably, let's see here. Not enough space, but we'll work with it. Okay, so we are trapped in the study. So let's see what we want to do here. I got to put the cards here, I think. So Roland Banks is the first investigator to be used for this campaign. I have 4 others ready to go. The mission is to get through the entire campaign without losing all 5 investigators. And yes, we can lose and still move through. That kind of thing. So let's see. All right, so let's see. So it's the investigator phase. We got to investigate, but let's see what we want to do here. So, we start with 5 resources. We start with 5 resources on the board, and let's see what we got here. Let's see. 45 automatics, good to put out, but not this early yet. Let's see. We will put 1 to put out the magnifying glass and paste a resource, and that does it fast, so that does not cost an action. That's an asset. We keep that. And we'll also put out the knife. And that is an action. So action will put out the knife, which is good to have. And we'll hold on to these for now. All right, so the first action, we put out magnifying glass is fast, so we don't get, that didn't cost an action. Taking out the knife did. So if you have any enemies, we can deal with it. So let's see. So we got 2 clues on the study that we have to get through. So 1 action already done. So let's investigate. So he has investigation. He has 3 with the magnifying glass. He gets +1 is 4, and the shroud is 2. So a 2 or lower, a 4, actually a, let's see here. We'll use the first one. So he needs a 2 or higher in order to get the first clue. And that is a 15, and that is a tablet, which says -2. If there is a ghoul enemy at your location, take 1 damage. But there is no ghoul enemy, and -2 takes it down to 2 because we had 3 +1 is 4, so that's 2. So that is a success. So we get a clue. That was the second action. The third action will investigate again. 17, that's a reroll. And 18, that's a reroll. 14, and now we get a cultist. -1. If you fail, take 1 horror. Which we don't, which is -1 makes it a 3, so we succeed. So we get both clues here in the study, just like that. So, question is when do I want to go ahead and pay the 2 to activate the mood of the act here? So we already got the 2 clues. So we'll go ahead and pay the 2 clues to advance the act. Advancing the act is what you want to do. You don't want to advance the agenda. So we advance the act. The door on the floor. You notice that the edges of your newly purchased rug are tattered and mud-stained. Finding this odd, you shift the furniture aside and pull back the rug. To your surprise, you see the door leading out of your study. You slowly turn the knob, and the door swings open, revealing your hallway below. You jump through the doorway, landing on your feet on soft dirt. The door to the study slams shut above you. The smell of burning wood fills the narrow hall, intermingled with the scent of rot and decay. Put into play the set-aside hallway, cellar, attic, and parlor. Discard each enemy in the study. Place each investigator in the hallway. Remove the study from the game. So the study goes bye-bye. And we now have the hallway. We have an attic. We have a cellar. We have a parlor. Let's see here. Welcome there, Brian. Good to see you for a Friday night horror. So we have the hallway, the attic, the cellar, and the parlor here. And that was the third action. So now we read Act 2A. The barrier. A glowing barrier blocks the path to your parlor. As you move toward it, intense heat forces you to back away. Picking up a handful of dirt, you toss it at the barrier and watch in horror as the dirt incinerates. Perhaps there's something in the cellar or attic that can help. Objective. When the round ends, investigators in the hallway may, as a group, spend the requisite number of clues to advance, and we need 3 of them. So we're already in Act 2A, the barrier only on the first turn, and we're playing easy levels, so we're just going to advance the story and enjoy a little Arkham horror. Trust me, even on easy level, on some of the later campaigns, that's tough. All right, so we're in the hallway, and I should put a pawn. That's where we're at. So the pawn will be us, even though I could use the investigator card, but I'm not going to use that. So, well, actually, we could. Hold on a minute. Let me go grab it real quick here. It's right over here, I think. Let's see. All right, so we'll use that instead and show where we're at. So we're in the hallway, and let's see what we got. All right, so that was our third action. So now we move on to the enemy phase. And enemies with the hunter keyword move toward nearest investigator. Each engaged enemy attacks if able. There are no enemies, so we skip it. So we go to the upkeep phase. So we reset our actions back to 0. And ready all exhausted cards. We draw a card and gain a resource. So we gain a resource and draw a card. And we get the Old Book of Lore. This is the starter deck, by the way, for Roland Banks. I will be adding more cards as we move forward into these into the Arkham Horror line. And let's see what we got here. All right. And then we check our deck hand size, and we have 4 cards right now. We can't have any more than 8. All right. So now we go to the Mythos phase, the evil guys, the bad guys. We put a Doom on the track, and this will advance after 3 Doom. And let's see here. And let's see. So we advance that, and we advance the agenda of Doom Threshold is satisfied, which it is not. And we draw a card from the top of the encounter deck, which is over here. And before I draw it, I will go ahead and shuffle, since you did not see me shuffle it. All right. And we get, Grasping Hands. Revelation, test agility. For each point you failed by, take 1 damage. Ugh. All right, Grasping Hands. So we test agility, and he's not very agile. He's got a 2. We do have some agility. I can use the manual dexterity card, which would help which will pretty much win it there. And he could take damage. He's only down to 9. He only has 9 health. 9 health and 5 sanity, so he's pretty good. I don't know if I may want to save this card for another time, so I'm just going to go ahead and take the chances without it. But it said of each point you fail by, take a damage. You know what? Tell you what. We'll go ahead and use it. So we're going to use manual dexterity, which will add 2 agility to here, which will make it 4. So I make the test a 4, and if the test is successful, we'll draw a card. So it is a 4/2. We roll, and that is a 12. That gets a skull, and minus X. X is the number of ghoul enemies at your location. There are none, so it's a 0. So it is a pass. So he passes, and we don't have to worry about that one there. Don't have to worry about that. Got to be a better play. I wish I really had a whole bunch of room, guys. Maybe you guys can see it over there for now. All right. So we avoided some grasping hands. We are now in the hallway. So let's see what we do. All right. So now we go to our timer. So the investigator gets 3 actions. So hallway, a moment of panic and disorientation strikes as you land upon the floor of the hallway. The world spins as if turned on its head. And we flip it. The walls of your house are splattered with mud, and your hardwood floor is gone, replaced with a dirt path. So the house is gone. The house is now turned into like an outside forest or something. Let's see here. I'll tell you what, I'd rather use the pawn. But we know who the investigator is here. So, all right. So we're in the hallway, and it's like got dirt and mud all over it right now. It used to be. It can be this. It's a solo game, but you can play with multiplayer, and there are no bots. The cards completely generate the game. The only thing you got to do is play your game, just like playing Marvel Champions or Lord of the Rings, made by the same people, Fantasy Flight Games. All right, so let's see. So we're in the hallway. We got to do an action. Well, we got to move. There are no clues here to get. We're going to go to the attic first. The smell of rotten meat assaults your nostrils as you approach the attic stairs. So we move up here. We flip it. Forced. After you enter the attic, take 1 horror. All right, so you take a horror here. Get a horror. The bloody carcass of a malformed beast swings from a meat hook chained to the ceiling. Blood drains slowly from the carcass, dripping into a small barrel. All right, so we're in the attic. We need a clue. Only need one. There's 2 clues up there. There are 2 clues at the attic. So 2 clues. We got 1 victory point if we get both clues in the attic. Welcome, Bob's Tabletop Sports. So let's see. Well, that was our first action. So we're going to take our second action, and that's going to investigate here. So we're going to investigate, and he has investigation of 3. We have the magnifying glass, so it gets +1 investigating. So we have a investigation of 4 on a 1. So it's pretty simple. The only way we fail this is if I roll a 1. The 1 is the fail. That's the failure token. The elder sign is an automatic pass. Let's see. So let's investigate. And that is a 12. And that's going to be a skull. And that is -X. X is the number of ghoul enemies at your location. There are none. So we pass. So we gain a clue. That was the second. We now go to the third action. We'll do it again. 8. And that is -1. So we had a 4. So we have a 3 plus 1 is 4 from the magnifying glass. -1 is 3. And we succeed. So we gain both clues from the attic. And we need 3 to advance the barrier. So that is our action. So we went ahead and investigated the attic to see what we could find. So, yeah, I know. I have war games too. Don't trust me. I have some war games as well. So, but I want to go ahead and branch out my channel a little bit. I hope you guys don't mind. So let's see here. All right. So we're in the attic. So that was the third. All right. So next up, we got to go ahead is the enemy phase. There are no enemies. So we reset the actions. No cards were exhausted. We draw a card and we get the Dynamite Blast. That's a good card to have. And we gain a resource. Okay. And we checked our hand to see if we have 8 cards. We only have 4. So we're in good shape. All right. So now it's the Mythos phase. So 1 Doom goes on the agenda. And let's see. We go ahead and draw a card, and it is Rotting Remains. Test 3 willpower. For each point you fail by, take a horror. Rotting Remains. Nasty card. Well, we got willpower is a 3. Do I have any help? Yeah, I do. I look at this old book of lore here, and I really don't think I need it for this chapter. So I'm going to go ahead and use its willpower, and that will make it a 4. So a 4, we need to pass a 3, and we roll a 9, and that is -1. I thought it was 2, but it's -1. So we had a 4, -1 is 3. We pass it, and so for each point you fail by, take a horror. We didn't. A sickening display of gore causes you to retch. You're glad this. I'll read the card here. A sickening display of gore causes you to retch. You're glad this wasn't you. And of course, I didn't read the grasping hands. Decaying hands rise up from below and grasp and claw at your ankles. But we passed it, so no horror for Roland Banks. So now on to the investigation phase. Well, we got to move, so I think we'll move 2 spaces. Actually, before I do that, let's see. I have the knife, but I also have the 45 automatic. I'm going to put that out. So I'm going to spend 4 resources to put that out, and I can use it because The knife is one-handed, as well as the 45 automatic. So we'll put the 45 automatic and the knife out. 45 automatic uses: full ammo, spend 1 ammo. Fight, you get +1 combat for this attack. This attack deals +1 damage. Trust me, we will need that. Now, I'm telling you right now, of course, I've already played these modules before, so it makes it a little bit easier to stream, so you guys know what's going on, so I know what's going on. So this is more almost really for you guys and for me. But then again, even though I've already played this part of the story, it can be different depending on what happens with here. You can play this really. I mean, it's the easiest one of the bunch. It really is. The Gathering is the easiest story of the Arkham Horror line and from the core set. Right, so that was the first action. We put out the 45 automatic. So second action, third action, cellar. The stairs leading down to your cellar are slick, and they glisten with a thin layer of ice. And we flip it. Ugh. Oh, that's nasty. That's not pretty right there, guys. After you enter the cellar, take 1 damage. Great. So I must have slipped and fell or something. Everything by the book. Every I dotted, every T crossed. It had worked until now. And his special thing is, after you defeat an enemy, discover 1 clue at your location. Limit once per round. If he gets the Elder sign, effect +1 for each clue on your location. There are 2 clues at the cellar. So we got 2 clues here. Cellar has got a shroud value of 4, so this is not easy. Luckily, we got the magnifying glass, but now I really wish I could get the flashlight. So we moved. So that was the third action. So we're out of action. So we're now in the cellar. So let's see what happens here in the cellar. All right. Let's see what we're going to do. All right. So we're in the cellar. So there's no enemies at all right now. And so we basically just reset the actions. Set the actions and ready all exhausted cards. There were none. We draw a card and we get the guard dog. Okay. That's a good ally to have, can help them out. The guard dog, and we get a resource. And of course, 4 resources go on 45 automatic. For those of you who are watching, this playthrough for Arkham Horror, the card game, if you're interested, Fantasy Flight Games is the one that does it. I should also let you know that they are revising the core set. So for anybody who wants to get into the game, you can purchase the core sets that are now out. I would recommend waiting until the revised core set is released. It will make it a little bit easier to even play the game, and you get some cards from the earlier expansions, and it has some better quality of life upgrades. I've already pre-ordered it, even though I have 2 core sets, which allows me to play 4 investigators, and I have 5, but I can always just switch a few cards into the 5th one. All right, so we're in the cellar. We got 2 clues there, but we got to find out what's going on here. So let's go on. So we go to the round sequence. So the Doom track just became, we put Doom on there. And let's see. So the agenda just activated. So let's read it. A lapse in time. Your house continues to change before your very eyes. The walls have decayed, and the ground in many rooms has turned to dirt. It is almost as if you had been transported somewhere else entirely, although every now and again you recognize elements of your former home. The lead investigator must decide. Either each investigator discards 1 card at random from his or her hand, or the lead investigator takes 2 horror. Well, I'm going to just discard 1 from the hand. And we only have 3 cards. So So let's roll it. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we lose Guts. So that's gone. So we're down to 2 cards left already. 2 cards left. Losing Guts hurts a bit. Agenda 2A, Rise of the Ghouls. The floor beneath you is giving way, and you see a vast network of tunnels twisting into the darkness below. Shapes and silhouettes of strange creatures move swiftly through the tunnels, trying to find a way up. You probably don't want to be here when they do. Has a doom level of 7. So, all right. So we got some strange creatures coming through the tunnels here. Maybe ghouls or something. All right. So that events the track. Now we got to pull in a card here, and we get a swarm of rats. Wonderful. So the swarm of rats will engage Roland Banks. So that will engage him. So we're engaged with a swarm of rats. A horde of cruel rats skitters forth in an undulating wave of claws, teeth, and mottled fur. It can do 1 damage to us. They only have 1 health. Only need to hit them with a 1 or higher, 1 and 3 agility. We'll probably just we'll have to kill them, which actually is good because that's going to give us a clue. So, all right. So now it is Roland's turn. So what are we gonna do here? So we're gonna go attack the rats. And I think with a combat of 4, I don't think I need the 45 automatic in this. So we only need to do a damage of 1 to the swarm of rats. So he has a combat of 4. So his first action, he'll attack the rats. And we only have to beat a 1. And we have a combat of 4 here. We don't even need the automatic. We could use the knife, but we could use the knife, and might as well fight. You get +1 for the attack for the knife. So we'll get 5. So let's see what we get. A 10, and that is going to be -2. So that's a 3 over a 1. So that beats the swarm of rats, and they only have a health of 1. So we killed the swarm of rats. So we killed the rats. They're gone. And after you defeat an enemy, discover 1 clue at your location. So we get a clue. We already have the 3 clues for the barrier, but I think I'll stay here in the cellar and try to get the last clue and get the victory points. And we'll see what we do here. Okay. All right, so that was the first action. The second action will investigate. With the magnifying glass, that would need a 4, and we have a 3 investigation, but +1 is 4. So I just got to get. I just can't I need. Let's see. I mean, we got to try. I want to get this last clue, if possible. Let's see here. Your cellar seems to have been replaced with an underground network of icy tunnels and caverns. The cold chills you to the core. All right, so we need a 4, and we roll a 7, which is a -1 over here. So that's not good because that made it a 3, so we failed that time. So we're going to try again with the third action. Same thing, a 9, and that's a -1, so we fail there too. So all right, so at least we did kill the rats. We already have enough clues, but I wanted to see if I can complete the cellar here. So that takes care of the third action. There are no enemies because we killed the rats before they could attack us. So reset the actions and reset the cards, and we get a resource. So we've got some resources here, and we draw a card, and we get another knife. All right. I'm glad I didn't lose the dynamite blast because right now that's probably what I'm going to need. All right. Rats, rodents are my kryptonite. Okay, so, all right. So we now go to the mythos phase. So Doom goes on the track. And we have to draw an encounter card, a Counter card, and it is, I hate that card. Frozen in Fear. Revelation, put Frozen in Fear into play in your threat area. The first time you perform one of the following actions, move, fight, or evade each round, it costs 1 additional action. Forced. At the end of your turn, test willpower 3. If you succeed, discard Frozen in Fear. I hate this card. All right, so we'll put that over here. All right, but at least we don't have to worry about any enemies right now. But the problem is it's going to cost me 2 actions to move the first time. So we're Frozen in Fear. So what are we going to do here? Well, we got to move. I'm going to go ahead and investigate again here in the cellar. So when I'm going to investigate, we need a 4 again. We got 3 investigation plus 1 from the magnifying glass. So we need a 4 in order to get that last clue. And of course, I'd miss it. And we get a 15, and that is a tablet -2. If there's a ghoul enemy at your location, take 1 damage. There isn't. So we failed the first time. Second attempt is an 18. That's a re-roll. 7. -1 again. Geez. Third roll. Third attempt. I'm going to try to get that last clue. 4. There we go. That's a 0. So that's a 0. So the 4 doesn't subtract or add anything. So we get the last clue from the cellar. But that took all 3 actions there. So we're still stuck in the cellar, at least until the next turn. So Roland's in the cellar still, but we now have all 4 clues we need. And now we got to see what happens as we try to get to the parlor to see what's happening here. So, all right. So no enemies. We go ahead and get ourselves a thing there. And then we got to test willpower to see if we can discard Frozen in Fear. So we have a test of willpower of 3, and his willpower is a 3, and we're gonna try to. Let's see what happens. Do we get rid of it? That is an 8. Nope, it's -1 is what that roll is. So that makes it a 2. So we do not get rid of Frozen in Fear. Wonderful. I was hoping to get rid of that. I hate that card. All right, so on to the enemy phase, which are none. We've already done the upkeep. So now we go to the Mythos phase. So we put a Doom on the track. Now 2 on Rise of the Ghouls. 7 is what we got to worry about. And we draw a card. And it is another swarm of rats. Wonderful. So another swarm of rats just joined us for the fight. Terrific. So Frozen in Fear and another swarm of rats. Thank you very much, BBBB. Not taking any baseball questions or anything like that. This is strictly horror. So, but thank you for joining me, my friend. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. And tomorrow night, I'm sure. All right, so we got another swarm of rats to deal with. Wonderful. All right, so let's go back to the investigation phase. We're going to go ahead and attack. We're going to attack the swarm of rats, because if I don't, they follow me. They have the hunter keyword. So they will follow me. All right, so he has a attack power he has a combat of 4. We only need to beat a 1. And that is a 14. That is a cultist -1. That succeeds. So swarm of rats, we kill the swarm. We kill another swarm of rats. Kill another swarm of rats here. And kill another swarm of rats. So that was the first action. Now we have to move into the hallway. We discover a clue with defeat an enemy, but there are no more clues there. So we move into the hallway, which is the second and the third action because we're Frozen in Fear. So you have to defeat an enemy, discover one clue at your location. All right, but we're still frozen in fear. So it takes for the first time you perform one of the following actions: move, fight, or evade each round. It costs one additional action. So we move from the cellar back into the hallway, and we try to get rid of the frozen in fear. So it's a 3. So it is a 3. Well, let's see if we can get rid of it. That is an 18. Nope, we'll re-roll. Another 18. Re-roll. 14. Nope, that's a cultist, and that's -1. And if you fail, take a horror. So we did. So we actually take a horror because of that. If you fail, take a horror. So we lost a horror. We gained a horror. Wonderful. Since we could not get rid of frozen in fear. All right. So that's the end of his turn. And we go to the upkeep phase. So we go to the enemy phase. There are no enemies. And we do reset the actions. Each investigator draws a card and gains a resource. We will get, the emergency cache. That's good. The emergency cache is very good. I like that. So we gain the emergency cache. And we gain a resource. We got plenty of resources here. All right. And we still have yet to use the 45 automatic. So we're doing pretty good here. All right. All right, so Doom goes on the track because we're still stuck in the hallway. That's the third Doom. Needs 7. It doesn't advance the agenda. We draw, and we have an obscuring fog. Revelation, attached to your location. Limit 1 per location. Attached location gets +2 shroud. Forced, after attached location is successfully investigated, discard obscuring fog. All right, well, that's in the hallway, but we don't have to investigate the hallway because there are no clues. So it gets +2 shroud. It's a 3 shroud, but this really won't matter. So we'll put it there anyway, but it won't matter. So we're still stuck in the hallway. So that's actually not bad, but now we got to go ahead and advance the clues. So we now look at the parlor. You're unsure what would happen if you tried to cross the threshold of the strange barrier, but based on its extreme heat, you sure as hell don't want to try. The entrance to the parlor is blocked by a darkly glowing, unfathomable barrier. You cannot move into the parlor. Okay, so we're going to spend our clues to advance the act. So we spend the 4 clues. So when the round ends, investigators in the hallway may, as a group, spend the requisite number of clues to advance. So here we go. Breaking the barrier. Using the barrel from the attic, you carry ice and snow from the cellar and hurl it at the barrier. The barrier sparks and shudders as it consumes the ice, then hisses and fades out of existence. The barrier blocking passage into the parlor has vanished. Reveal the parlor. Put the set-aside Lita Chantler into play in the parlor. Spawn the set-aside Ghoul Priest in the hallway. Oh, that's wonderful. So we reveal the parlor. Act 3A. What have you done? A woman with a torch stands in your parlor, a glimmer of hatred in her eyes. What have you done to my barrier? She screams, furious. Before you can answer, a ghastly wail sounds behind you, and a creature wearing robes and a deer skull mask tears through the wall, advancing towards you. Objective: if the Ghoul Priest is defeated, advance. Parlor. Well, we can resign, saying this is too much for me. You run out the front door, fleeing in panic. While Lita Chantler is not controlled by a player, she gains action to parley, test for intelligence. If you succeed, you take control of Lita Chantler. So we're in the parlor, and it doesn't look too good, but the thing about it, so here is Lita Chantler. She is now in the parlor, and she is the Zealot. So Knight of the Zealot is Lita Chantler. And while you control her, she gains, each investigator at your location gains a +1 combat. And she has a reaction when an investigator at your location successfully attacks a monster enemy. That investigator deals +1 damage. She has 3 health and 3 heart, 3 sanity. But this is the guy we got to deal with. And that is the Ghoul Priest, a figure in red robes wearing a bone mask. It gibbers and snarls before leaping to attack. And this is the guy we got to defeat, the Ghoul Priest. We got to beat at least a 4, and he has 5 health, and it needs 4 to evade him. But not good. So I got to deal with this Ghoul Priest here for Roland Banks, and I'm still frozen in fear. Still frozen in fear. The good news is this happened. Okay, after we this was the this doesn't cost an action to spend the tokens. So we still have 3 actions here against this Ghoul Priest we got to deal with. And we're still frozen in fear, but the good news is we can still attack. We can still fight or evade, but it's going to take 2 actions. It's going to take a couple of actions to probably kill this Ghoul Priest. All right, so it is now. So that was the Mythos. So we're in the investigator phase. And let me see something. I don't think that takes an action, right? No, it's not an action. All right, so we got to defeat this Ghoul Priest here to move on. Let's see here. All right. Well, Roland Banks he's got a whole bunch of health, but he's only down to already, he's got 3 horror left, and this enemy does 2 damage and 2 horror every time. And it's got Hunter and Retaliate. So we can't miss. We got to succeed. Well, what we're going to do here is we're going to attack. We're going to attack here. So, and it costs 2 actions to do it. So Roland Banks is going to attack. We're going to use the 45 automatic. So you fight, you get +1 combat for this attack, and the attack will deal +1 damage. So he does 4. Okay, so that'll be +1 is 5. And we're going to spend the knife card to get this, which will make it +1 is a 6. So we use one of those. And this is going to cost 2 actions because we're frozen in fear. So we really got to hit him for me to do the next tactic I have in mind. So let's see what we got here. So Ghoul Priest, let's see what we got. It just can't fail. A 9, and that's going to be -1, and we will succeed. We'll hit him. So he has a 4. We have a 4. +1 is 5, and we spent that. +1 is 6, and that is a 9. -1 is 5. So we do succeed. So we do +1 damage. So we do 1 damage from us and 1 damage from the 45 automatic. So that automatically puts 2 damage on the Ghoul Priest. And then we're going to go ahead. This is a fun game to play. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to do since I got the card, we're going to do a Dynamite Blast. Choose either your location or a connecting location. Deal 3 damage to each enemy and to each investigator at the chosen location. Well, that means I would do 3 damage to myself, but he can take it. So, and he'll be fully healed. Probably, and then he'll probably be healed in the next chapter of this Knight of the Zealot. Questions: do I want to do that? Because unfortunately, frozen in fear, I could have. If it wasn't for frozen in fear, I could have tried to evade, move, and then do the Dynamite Blast in the hallway. But because of frozen in fear, I couldn't do it. So the third action, we're going to pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 resources. And we're going to play Dynamite Blast. Choose either your location or a connecting location. Deal 3 damage to each enemy and to each investigator at the chosen location. So, boom! Well, Roland, of course, has 1 hit point on him, so he's going to be banged up, but he's a survivor. He'll be fine. But the Ghoul Priest is dead. So we just blew the Ghoul Priest up. So we got rid of him. He's gone. And now we advance the agenda. We advance the act. Defending the home. When the robed creature fails, the fiendish swarm burrows back into the ground, and the chaos of the house quiets. But the stranger in your parlor doesn't seem relieved. You broke my seal that was set to trap the ghouls within. She raises her torch. Now we must take more direct measures and burn this hell pit to the ground. The lead investigator must decide. It was never much of a home, burn it down, or this hell pit is my home. No way are we burning it. Well, I thought about that. I've actually played this version a number of times, and I think about that myself. I mean, it's my home, but right now it's not my home anymore. I mean, it's dirt. Pretty much, I'm going to go ahead and burn it down. So I will decide to burn down the home. So the home will be burned down. And now we read the resolution for this battle. You nod and allow the red-haired woman to set the walls and floor of your house ablaze. The fire spreads quickly, and you run out the front door to avoid being caught in the inferno. From the sidewalk, you watch as everything you own is consumed by the flames. Come with me, the woman says. You must be told of the threat that lurks below. Alone, we are surely doomed, but together, we can stop it. To be continued next week. And next week will be called Part 2, The Midnight Masks of the Night of the Zealot Campaign. So we defeated the Ghoul Priest, and we got ourselves a friend. If we think she's a friend, I'm not sure yet what she is, but I'm not sure. But we had to burn our house down. So, well, I will tell you guys, we'll see what happens next week on Friday Night Arkham Horror. It will be called Part 2, The Midnight Masks. We got to find out where these ghouls are coming from. All right, and see what will happen. Roland Banks is a survivor. He will start that scenario of the campaign next week, and we'll see what happens from there. It's probably a much longer scenario. I just don't have enough room here. I may just have to go ahead and not use a tray and just roll the die on the ground, I guess, probably. Just don't have enough room. So, but I got to tell you, this I love this game. I was wanting to get rid of it, but then I realized, you know what? I want to get back into it, and now I can stream it to you guys, and we can have lots of fun. And I'll only do it one time a week. That's it. And I think that's about it. And I'm not going to remember, this is just for a little bit something different on my channel. And I really want to do this. I have everything Arkham Horror. I have every expansion in this game. Every expansion. Starter decks, deluxe expansions, the monthly expansions, and even the Barkham Horror expansion, which one day you'll see what it's all about. We're going to go in order with expansions, so that's it there. So, Roland Banks and Lita Chandler leave his burnt down home, and we'll have Part 2 of Night of the Zealot, The Midnight Masks, next week. Thank you for joining me for Friday Night Arkham Horror. and we will see you guys again next week. Until then, beware the mythos. Brian Patterson, Bob's Tabletop Sports, G-Puck, and Steeler Fan, thank you for joining me. Have a good night, if you can.